Hey, today we're going to be making this beautiful star-spangled paper flower. The supplies you're going to need for this are 65-pound cardstock. You'll need scissors to cut the petals out with or a cutting machine like a Cricut. You'll need some white glitter vinyl if you're using a Cricut machine, or if you're hand cutting, you can grab some star stickers at your local craft store. You'll also need the templates, which are linked below. I have paid and free versions. You'll need a wood dowel to curl the petals with and a glue gun to be able to glue all of your petals together. You're going to need to cut out the following number of petals. You'll need 8 extra large, 8 large, 8 medium, and 16 small. You'll need to also cut out 1 extra large 8-sided base. For the extra large petals through the medium-sized petals, you'll need to cut out 3 in blue each, 3 in white each, and 2 in red each. For the small petals, you will cut 6 in blue, 6 in white, and 4 in red. You will also be able to find cutting machine measurements below in the description if you should need them, and the link to make this pom-pom center that you're seeing here is also below this video in the description as well. So let's go ahead and get started. You're of course going to first get all of your petals cut out, so that's what I've done here. And once you've cut all your petals out, I want you to use your scissors and cut about 1.5 to 2 inch slit at the bottom center of all your petals. Then add a little bit of glue to one side and slightly overlap. It's going to look something like this. You'll want to do this with all of your petals. And then grab that wood dowel that I mentioned in the supply list and curl the outer edges of the top of the petal backwards so that it gives it some curl and dimension. And you're going to do this with all of your petals no matter the size. So go ahead and get all that done now, and then we'll move on to building the flower. I have my 8-sided base here, which is going to help give me a guide for gluing my petals. And I'm starting with a red petal here, and I'm just adding some glue to the bottom back side and placing it on one of the sides of the 8-sided base. I'm then going to grab a white petal, and I'm going to do the same thing. Add some glue to the bottom back side and place it on the next side of the 8-sided base next to it. It doesn't matter which direction you go, just stay consistent with your direction. You're going to then repeat this again with another red petal. Add some glue to the bottom back slide and then place it next to the white petal there. The next step will be another white petal. And then you're going to move on to your 3 navy blue petals next. So those are going to all be glued in the next 3 spots around the flower there. So go ahead and add all 3 of the blue petals next. The last petal for the extra large will of course be that last white petal that you have there. So you should have 3 white, 2 red, and 3 blue in that first round of extra large petals that we have here. We're then going to grab our large petals and we're going to start the next layer. So I'm starting with a blue petal here, and I want to make sure that I'm placing this blue petal in between 2 of the extra large blue petals. So you can see how I place it there slightly off to the side in between 2 of the blue petals that are already there from the previous layer. Go ahead and do that again 2 more times. It does not matter which direction or which petal you start with, you just need to keep your direction and your pattern the same once you've started it. That's going to help us create the swirl. So my next petal here is the white one that you see, that's my extra large petal, and so I'm going to add a white one next here in this layer for large petals. And then my next extra large petal underneath was the red, so I'm going to do a large petal next here in red. And you'll continue the pattern with the next 3 petals as well. So I have a white petal next, placed in between the bottom white extra large and the bottom red extra large, and then I'll have a large red petal here next, and then there'll be a white one to finish this layer off. I also want to point out that you notice how when I add this last petal in this row that I'm tucking one side behind the first petal that we started with, so it creates a seamless look with the petals rather than it being placed on top of both sides of the first and the last petal. So just try and tuck that last petal in there behind the first petal that we started with. We're now going to of course do the medium petals here. And you're just going to follow the same pattern. So I'm starting with my blue here, and you want to make sure you're going the same direction. You want to make sure that you're going whichever direction you were going in the last row, so that it is completely, it's going to create that spiral look. You wouldn't want to go the other way because then it would just look very messy, and it would not create that spiral we're going for here. So I'm adding my 3 blue petals, and that's moving to my right, but it'd be your left on the screen. You can of course go whichever direction you want, just stay consistent. And you'll continue doing that with all of your blue, red, and white petals here. Again, for this last white petal I'm adding in here, notice how I tuck one side of it behind that first blue petal that we started with. That creates that seamless look here. So you should have something like this so far. And then we're going to grab 8 of our small petals next and work on the next row of petals. And you're going to again just do the exact same thing, same pattern. You can start with the blues like I am here, and just keep going the same direction and follow that same pattern around for your first row of small petals. We're going to repeat the small petal row twice. Typically when I do my flowers, if you've used any of my templates before, I will actually do an extra small petal, but with this particular design, I am using the small petal twice in 2 rows because I want the petals to be a little bit bigger even as they work towards the center, because we're going to be adding stars on the blue ones. And if I add in the extra small petals are almost a little too small for the stars. So I like keeping it just 2 rows of small rather than adding in a 5th layer of extra small petals. And now we're just continuing our pattern one last time with our 5th row of petals, and I'm again using my small size petals here, so you should have 8 small petals left at this time. And I'm adding my next 3 blue, and then I'll be following that same pattern for the rest of the white and the red. Okay, so I'm tucking in this last white petal here, and you should have a flower that resembles something like this. These do take a little bit of practice, so be patient with yourself. But it looks really pretty. We have a nice spiral going there with all of our colors, and I really like the way that that looks. And here I'm adding just a pom-pom center. There is a video below this video in the description to show you exactly how to make this step by step. So you can go visit that video if you like this center. And the last step here is going to be to add on our stars. Now I'm using a glitter adhesive vinyl that I cut out with my Cricut machine. I just used the star shape that they give you in Cricut Design Space. So I don't include stars in my templates because they already have it there if you're a Cricut user. If you are not a Cricut user and you cut this by hand, these would be really tedious to cut by hand. So I recommend just buying some stickers at your local craft store. Star stickers are very easy to find. You can find at the dollar store as well. You can get them in white or gold usually, so either will work. But I am using just some adhesive glitter white vinyl here, which is a good option if you have a cutting machine and you happen to have some vinyl on hand and you don't have to go buy stickers. But you can always buy stickers if that's what you want. You might be able to find some like different cool ones and things like that. I think it would also be fun if you had a Cricut to use like some gold holographic adhesive vinyl as well if you wanted to do gold stars, and if you were doing a gold center kind of like I have here, that could kind of complement the gold center. I'm just adding stars as I see fit, so I do not have a particular rhyme or reason to it. I just created a couple different size stars on my cutting machine when I cut it out, and then I just went ahead and stuck them on the petals where I felt like they fit the best. So that's completely up to your preference. Ultimately, you can kind of follow how I do it here, or you can place as many as you want, or as few as you want. You don't even have to use stars if you don't want to. If you just want it to be like a red, white, and blue flower, that's totally fine too, whatever you want to do for your interpretation there. Okay, so your flower is pretty much finished at this point in time, and I think this looks, really beautiful. Of course, you would glue down your center. I didn't here, but you would of course glue that down if that's the center you wanted to go with, is the pom-pom like I show here. I do have other centers in the shop and on the blog if you want to experiment with different things as well. And you can make these in different sizes. So this one here is a large size, and I just subtracted use of the extra large petal and just created the flower exactly the same way. I just didn't use the extra large petal so that it made a smaller version. So that's the really easy way to do that as well. I also created this fun version here using Easy Tack spray, adhesive spray, and it's by Crayon. And then I sprinkled some gold chunky glitter over the white petals only before I built the flower, and it created this really pretty flower that's a little bit different than the others, and it looks really neat. You'll see a close-up picture of it here in just a second. Here's what that looks like with the gold glitter. So both have a variation to it. You can do stars, you could do gold glitter like I did here, or you could do, however many of one of each that you want. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It's a great project for 4th of July, Memorial Day, or just any, family with a patriotic spirit. So you guys can find these templates. You can find free template options below this video in the description, and you can also find this exact paid template option in my shop on catchingcolorflies.com. I will see you guys in the next video. I also want to extend an invitation to all the Cricut crafters out there to join my free masterclass on the 3 most common Cricut crafter misconceptions, and I also would love to share with you my 3-step framework to transform you not only into a Cricut master, but also into a craft designer for yourself. So I hope you'll see me there, and there's a link for that below this video as well.